Hello, lovely people. It's Hila here, Saturday Night Stitch, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today's video is a spotlight video wherein we're guest featuring Mr. Saturday Night Stitch and one of my all-time favorite sewing patterns to make. I've got the rack of all of the shirts that I have made Mr. Saturday Night Stitch, and I love making shirts for him. In particular, this pattern, McCalls M6044, which I have made so many times. It's such a well-used pattern, and I've made the different variations of the short sleeves and the long sleeves. So today, as a special treat, we're just going to be going through all of the shirts that I've made so far, all in one video. And Mr. Saturday Night Stitch very graciously agreed to do some modeling for me. So we're just going to be inserting this so that you can get an idea of what it looks like and what the fabrics look like. So I have tried to make another shirt pattern for him, which I self-drafted using the Winifred Outridge metric pattern cutting for menswear, and I borrowed that book from the library. And I decided to draft a shirt for him, and this was the Lobster's shirt that I made. So this was a self-drafted one, and it's got just a little bit of shaping at the back with some dots at the back over there. And it's got a yoke, but I made the yoke very shallow. And I'll just show you over there with Mr. Saturday Night Stitch wearing it. And I played with the different colorways of the Lobster. This is a cotton poplin. So it's got some lovely crisp airiness, really great for, I'd say, summer, spring, and maybe early autumn. This works quite well. This has been washed so many times. We've had this for several years now. And he picked the Lobster fabric because he was very much into this band. I think it's called B52 Rock Lobster or something like that, but this is called the Rock Lobster shirt. And the problem was when I drafted it, it was really my first time drafting a men's shirt. I did make one toile, and the adjustments that I made just weren't as great. So with this particular shirt, the shoulder doesn't quite hit the shoulder in the way that he likes with the McCalls M6044s. So I spent a bit of time umming and ahhing about it, whether I should continue with trying to refine the fit on this. And after a while, I was just like, you know what, there's so many other sewing patterns to sew out there. I'm not going to bother trying to do that. Why fix it when you've got something that works perfectly? He loves the McCalls M6044. He finds that a very comfortable shirt to wear. And so that's the one that I decided to stick with. So this is the Lone Nun M6044 shirt. And it tends to get worn last, like if I've fallen behind with the laundry and there aren't any clean iron shirts, which takes weeks, by the way, to get to that point, or months even. And that's when he will wear this one, just because it doesn't feel as comfortable around the shoulders because of how it's got a bit more of a drop shoulder and it shifts around a lot more. But it has a great sentimental value because it is the B52 Rock Lobster shirt. And yeah, it's still in good condition. So this one. So I thought I'd give you a background into why I definitively bonded with the M6044. It was just because I just realized that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And because I'm so committed to wanting to sew so many things, I basically decided that I wasn't going to spend time trying to rework the draft. But it was a fun experience doing the pattern drafting for the men's shirt. It was really good. And it was also good for me to realize that drafting men's patterns is definitely not my forte. I will stick to what the experts have made, and I will tweak those rather than trying to draft those from scratch. So then we come to McCalls M6044, and this is such a great, honestly, I could bang on about this. And I do this thing where I write down the dates that I've actually completed a shirt on it, which is a nice feeling. So I found that when I used to buy vintage sewing patterns, I loved seeing the little handwritten notes from, the women that used to own them. And I love trying to imagine, she had made, what was she doing? So yeah, it's kind of like my little way of doing something that gives me joy when I see it elsewhere. So we have this particular shirt, right? It's got different views, so you can make it more Western style with these yokes on the front. And I have to admit, I've never made the version with the yokes on the front just because my husband, he's just got no interest in the Western style type shirt. He was raised in London and New York, so, you know, he's got more of the urban-y type flair rather than the Western type, so he's never been interested in that. A few of the shirts I've made them with the back yoke that sort of fills in. And yeah, so let's have a look at the next one. We'll finish off with the very favorite one. And if you stay tuned, you get to see what is his favorite shirt and why. So try and guess along the way and pick out which one you think might be Mr. Saturday Night Stitch favorite, and then see at the end if you were right. And let me know in the comments box if you got it correct. Okay, right. So the next one that I'm going to show you is this octopus one, which absolutely love, so much so with the fabric that I used the fabric on the selvage edge, and it's a cotton and steel fabrics. And this one was called, it's from the winter 2016 design collection. So this one has been with us for so long, but the fabric is so good. As you can see, it's been washed so many times and ironed so many times, but it's still relatively vibrant and still popping, and it's got a beautiful blue. And I absolutely love it. And this is a great example of how when you invest in good quality fabrics and you take the time to do the tailoring correctly, you've got a garment that is just going to be in your wardrobe forever and ever if you're looking after it. And so, yeah, so this is, unfortunately, this print is so hard to find now. It's called, I think it's called Midnight Train to Tokyo or something like that, but it's got, this is the Octopus Speed one. And I had a lot of fun with this one because you see, I pattern matched the pocket, so you can barely see that there's a pocket there. And also for the back yoke, this one has got a back yoke, although it's quite hard to tell that it does have a back yoke unless you see the detail on here. So we have this one, really, really great one. Yeah, and every time my husband is doing Zoom calls in the office, apparently people are like, wow, that's a funky shirt. And he likes, even though they had this long 2-year period where he was working from home, he was still wearing the shirts on Zoom calls, and they just added a little bit of fun on Fridays. Okay, so the next one is the Star Wars shirt, which is the May the 4th be with you shirt. And I made it using a licensed, I would say that this is a broadcloth. It's not quite quilting cotton. It's not cotton lawn. It's not shirting cotton. So it's like a broadcloth, because I think when they were envisioning this was more for crafting fabric, but you can get away with making a shirt with it. And I picked this fabric up from B&M Fabrics at the market. And yeah, made it in a short sleeve because I didn't buy enough to actually make it a long sleeve. And in hindsight, probably long sleeve would have been too much. And it's the Stormtroopers, and went with a black collar and a black contrast buttonhole, which is fun. Making collars is like my favorite part of making the shirts, because you have an opportunity to just really play around with it and have fun. So with this one, I've got on the inner collar here, it's the Star Troopers, and then it's black on the outer collar. And then when you pop the collar, you can see the Star Troopers over here, but then it's black on the other side. So it's like so much fun. And then the button band is just all that. And he chose, I gave him the option of either black, darker colored buttons, but he chose these ones because they pop a little bit more. And yeah, it's great. The fabric has done really well. Again, over the years, this has been washed so many times and ironed, but it is still managed to maintain its popping vibrancy. It hasn't peeled or anything like that. It's really been good. And again, it comes down to when you get good quality fabric, as a seamstress, it is worth investing the time learning how to identify good quality fabrics for projects, especially when it comes to working with TNT patterns. It is so worth it for that. So that's the Star Wars shirt, right? And then this one is potentially one of my favorites. This is the Dragon Pagoda shirt. This is like just got so much dragon in it. It's so fabulous. And it's got hibiscus, and it's like a bright orange hibiscus and red. So incredibly tropical, as you can see over there. So I found out later on that this fabric was a Ralph Lauren dead stock fabric, that Ralph Lauren had done some resort collections with this. And you know, with how the designer houses, sometimes when they've done enough of it, then they just sell off the dead stock fabric. This was one of that. So consequently, the fabric ran out very, very quickly, and I could not find it anywhere else for a really long time until I stumbled across it at Fabrics for All, and I snapped up another 2 meters, wanting to make something for myself because I love this popping color so much. But ever since I had my colors done, I can't do the warms, so I'm like, but it's okay. I can make a skirt out of it or something because it does have the pink on here, so I can envision making a skirt and then putting on a pink top with it. But anyway, this isn't about me. This is about McCalls M6044. But this is such a gorgeous fabric. It's got it's a linen cotton mixed fabric, right? So it's got like this really lovely texture, but it doesn't have the crumpliness of linen. So as you can see, this it's ironed. It's been set ironed for months on the rail now because he hasn't worn this one recently because we're still in winter here in England. So the last time that this got worn was last summer, but he wears this so much in summer because the fabric is nice and it is comfortable. It is just so bright. And every time he wears this, he's like, oh, I have to be ready for people giving me compliments, asking me where this comes. This one gets the most amount of compliments, the most amounts of people stopping him on the streets to say, excuse me, where did you get that shirt from? And he'll always say, my wife made it for me. But yeah, so this is the dragons one. So with this one, I actually did put a yoke on it. And because it's got a linen cotton mix, you know how linen does the whole thing of expanding and contracting, which is one of the greater properties of linen. The yoke kind of just does a little bit of a crease on here, because I cut the yoke on a bias because I wanted the dragon to be like central, looking down at this hibiscus flower. I spent so long doing the pattern placement on this. It's crazy. So that's what I ended up doing. And so because it's cut on the bias, and I didn't account for that when I was sewing it, it creates this slight crease over here. But you know what? The beauty of using very loud, bold prints is you can kind of get away with little mistakes like that. But because by the time somebody notices something like this, I'd have to be like, well done, you've got good eyes, But yeah, this one. So short sleeve. So it's only got the 2 short sleeved versions. And then the next one is what I like to call the Greek tile mosaic shirt. And this was a really lovely aqua tile print fabric that I picked up from B&M Fabrics. And it is a cotton poplin, but it's not quite a soft drapey one. It's quite like it really shows up creases when it makes the creases, but relatively lightweight. And it had a selvage edge. So I played around with the selvage. It had a border design running along the selvage, which I used for the undercollar over here. And I also used it to do underneath the button placket over there, as well as on the cuffs, just to add a little bit, just a little bit of something. And it's got a pocket, and because the tile print is so small, I didn't really have to worry about pocket matching. It just fits in. So this is a very light weight and just really lovely. It's not his favorite. It's not one of his favorite, but he likes to wear it whenever he wants to have a little bit of pattern, but still keeping it a little bit on the down low. I mean, compared to the other shirts that are just really quite very bold, this one is very, very conservative. And then the other one that has been worn every single December ever since it was made, I think it's probably going on to 4 years now that I've made this. This is the Christmas one, and it's made in this really beautiful, vibrant red fabric, and it's 100% cotton. And I would say it's not a quilting cotton, right? Because it doesn't have that stiffness that you get with the quilting cotton. It's more like, I want to say like a pop, not quite a poplin, because poplin's got that shiny sheen on it. It's just a really lovely 100% cotton fabric, and it's gotten a little bit softer over the years with the washing, because in December, he more or less wears this almost all the time, and so it's constantly getting washed about twice a week. And it's really lovely. What has amazed me about this particular fabric is how color fast the red has been, because it is still, as you can see, it is still a bright popping red with the gold flakes are still there, and this looks really white. And I had fully expected that, this might lose its color quite soon, but it has just been so impressive. I haven't needed to make another Christmas shirt for him because this one is still going really strong. And I used navy on the cuffs just to have a little bit of fun with it. And that was it. I didn't put a pocket on it, although he does complain that I should put a pocket on it, so I'll probably get around to it. So that's the Christmas one over here. And then we have the Alexander Henry Paloma. This was one of the first ones that I made him. And this fabric, oh my gosh, you guys, this fabric is just so popping. Yeah, it's the birds and the flowers and just really, really bright. I think it was part of his folklorical collection, if I'm not too sure. I think so. And I used a cotton muslin, a white cotton muslin, really lightweight, for the inside of the one of the plackets. And that was this was the only shirt that I actually went all out and I actually did proper French seams. You can see that. I actually used proper French seams all the way down the sleeve as well. So even the sleeve seam is a French seam. So it's very, very well made. The other shirts I was doing what's called the faux French seam, where you finish the seam with an overlocker, and then you just top stitch it down so that on the outside it looks like it's a French seam, but when you look on the inside, you'll see that it isn't. But this one is the one that I actually did with like a proper French seam. So it took twice as long to make, and it does look lovely. The fabric, again, I remember at the time, because I'd only just started dabbling into sewing men's shirts, I was a little bit, should I get this? Should I get this? Because it's Alexander Henry. They don't come cheap because you're buying that name, but also the quality. But absolutely worth it because this is still going strong. The colors are still popping. The white is still white. The sky blue is still sky blue. And yeah, really, really beautiful, beautiful fabric. Absolutely worth it. Love it. I wish I had actually bought myself some of this because I do love this, but you know. So as you can see, we have a pattern here. All of them are really boldly patterned fabric prints and really fabulous. And it's nice, I must say, when you're looking at the closer and you've got all of these beautiful, wonderful fabrics. So then we have, this one is a little bit of the odd one out. This is the most recent one that I made in, I think I finished it in December last year, actually, yeah. And as you can see, it's plain, as in it's a solid color, but it's a really beautiful deep indigo blue, navy blue denim chambray. And I cannot tell you how much I love this fabric, so much so that I was so tempted to actually make a shirt for myself using this Granville. This is the Sawholy Granville shirt that I'm wearing. But I had already promised my husband. So I was like, you're a grown-up woman. You have to be a woman of integrity. You have to keep your promises. And I made this for him because this is so gorgeously soft. But I really got carried away with, like, I really got absorbed. You know, like when you get into the zone, when you really get into the flow of sewing this to the very best of my ability and really taking my time with the stitching. And I also spent a bit of time investigating the interfacing, because one of the complaints that my husband had was how the shirt collars are quite a little bit on the floppy side, because I was just using the standard villain interfacing. And huge thanks to Kathy from Hide and Silk, and she suggested some UK suppliers of this particular stiff interfacing that's used for collars. I was going to order it from America, but she showed me where to get it here in the UK, and it's just been amazing. So I'm now absolutely converted, and that's what I'm using for collars now when I have to deal with collars. This Pelon, I can't remember what it's called, but I'll link it in the description box down below. But yeah, all of the details for me on this are just top notch because I didn't have any print to hide behind. And it just was so much fun. And the intense level of satisfaction I got from making this and taking my time with this was just on another level. So I am super, super proud of how this turned out. And it is so beautiful. And my husband likes wearing this. And this has been washed already at least about 6 times. But as you can see, it's been washed and ironed. The color is still really colorful. So absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous fabric here. But yeah, so that's this one. And so those are the shirts. And we're just going to take a moment to hear from Mr. Saturday Night Stitch, wherein he's going to tell us which one is his favorite. And let's see if you actually got it correct.
If you guessed this one, you were right. This has just got so much color. It's got so much pop. I love the little birds on it. It's great. However, this one is by far the best well made. It's got really great stitching. It's got a lot of attention to detail. and because it's blue, it pretty much goes with everything I wear. I forgot to mention that this fabric feels really good. Like, it's nice and soft on my skin.
Well, thank you. So thank you so much to my husband for agreeing to do this video and for agreeing to model all the shirts. It's a really bright, sunny day, and he's an outdoorsy worker and he's got a lot of plants in the garden. So I do appreciate him taking time out to actually do this for me. But yeah, so that's it. And I can totally agree why this is his favorite. He does actually wear this a lot. And as I said, this has been washed a lot. But yeah, so that is this pattern here. This is a really, really banging pattern, and I will definitely be using it again when I make him another shirt. I've got a really lovely salmon pink. It's a light salmon pink with like some really delicate, very small, tiny little polka dots on it. And I'm going to be making, and it's almost like a batista cotton voile, so a very lightweight fabric to make him something for summer, and that's going to be another one. But so far, a really fabulous collection of shirts that have been going and going and going. So thank you so much for watching. If you've reached the end, I really appreciate you. You are a rock star. Do let me know if you've used a sewing pattern before. If indeed you've got a TNT sewing pattern that you use for making shirts. I will be back very soon with a fabric haul, and I finished a vintage dress, and I'm so excited about showing you that vintage dress. I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but it looks really, really awesome. And I'm going to do another spotlight special with Sawholy Granville, my shirts, which I need to go back down the barrel of making shirts for myself because my shoulders have grown so much that my shirts are beginning to strain across the shoulders. So I have to go back to the drawing board. But I really wanted to wear this one last time because it's pink, and pink is my color. So until I see you next time, lovely people, have a lovely day, a lovely weekend wherever you are, and happy sewing. Take care. Bye. So now that I've finished recording the video, I'm going to go take advantage of the really beautiful sunny day that we're having. I have to do a lot of gardening. So I've just changed and just wanted to show you that we've got some merch in the merch shop, got some t-shirts. There's a better sewn than perfect. Pockets are everything. Yeah, and just go check out the merch shop and support the channel, and I'll see you later.